2022 has ended and was a very significant and eventful year for the entire planet. The countries of the Caribbean region, as well as the Caribbean communities in the diaspora, have been deeply affected by a number of news and events that took place during the year regionally and globally that have deeply affected the Caribbean and its people at home and abroad. After 2 long years during which all headlines were covered in COVID-19 related news, the Caribbean countries welcomed 2022 with hope and positivity. But, expectedly, not all that came was so exciting. Through the climate crisis, the rise of violence and poverty, regional politics, food insecurities, tragedies, sports, arts, and culture. In this presentation, we'll look at the top 10 regional and global events that have affected the region as we look forward to the adventures of 2023. Let's now review some of the top stories that affected the Caribbean community in 2022. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for our future videos. Number 10. The world says goodbye to Sidney Poitier. Bahamian-born actor Sidney Poitier died on January 6, 2022 at the age of 94. Back in 1964, Poitier was the first black actor to win the Academy Award for Best Actor. He then went on to receive 2 Golden Globe Awards, a BAFTA, a Grammy, and numerous other awards. He's regarded as one of the last major stars of the golden age of Hollywood cinema, fondly remembered for his roles in the film To Sir with Love, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and In the Heat of the Night, all revolving around racial issues. Poitier had been battling with prostate cancer and Alzheimer's, and the official cause of his death, cardiopulmonary failure, was certainly related to these underlying situations. The whole world joined in honoring him and his exceptional artistic contribution, as well as his diplomatic work. Number 9. The overturn of Roe versus Wade in the United States and how it affects the Caribbean region. The effects of the most consequential court decision in decades have made it everywhere on the planet, and the Caribbean region was no stranger to this. On June 24, 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court's conservative majority ruled that abortion is not a constitutional right, leading to abortion bans in over a dozen states in the USA. This overruled Roe v. Wade 410 U.S. 113, 1973, which was for the past decades granting women in the states the constitutional right to have an abortion. People have been protesting in response to this, and the concurrent review of other constitutional rights such as same-sex marriage, interracial marriage, or access to birth control. The Caribbean community, both in the Caribbean and in the diaspora, has been unsettled about the decision, with most people questioning the integrity of such and fearing that this might result in a step back in reproductive rights in the Caribbean too. Several Caribbean nations and Caribbean American legislators see the overturning of Roe v. Wade as the first step down a slippery slope where people's hard-won rights could become increasingly eroded in a region whose own abortion laws are restrictive. Number 8. The most influential Caribbean leader of 2022, Mia Mottley. Mia Amor Mottley, SC MP, Prime Minister of Barbados, won a second term in office in a landslide victory at the January 2022 general election, with votes from all 30 seats in the House of Assembly and 69% of the popular vote. In May 2022, she was chosen as one of the 100 most influential people of 2022 by Time magazine. In November 2022, the United Nations Foundation announced Mottley as the recipient of one of its annual Global Leadership Awards, honoring her as Champion for Global Change in recognition of her exemplary leadership in fighting for a just, equitable, and sustainable world. In December 2022, Mottley was named on the BBC's 100 Women list as one of the world's most inspiring and influential women of the year, and by the Financial Times on the FT's 25 most influential women of 2022. In the video linked above, see why Mia Mottley was conferred the Caribbean Leader of the Year award. Number 7. COVID-19 and Monkeypox. 2022 marked the third year of the pandemic that has been affecting over 300 million cases throughout the year. While the biggest surges were related to the Omicron variant in the earliest months of the year, case numbers fell during the summer but started going back up with winter and the holidays. Jamaican-born nurse Sandra Lindsay was awarded the Medal of Freedom in July 2022 by President Joe Biden for being the first person to roll up her sleeve and volunteer to receive the first COVID-19 shot on January 14, 2020. In the meantime, the world and our region were challenged by the rise of a more unfamiliar virus called Monkeypox. The outbreak started over the summer in the United Kingdom, and cases started to appear all over the world, including the Caribbean, but mainly in Africa, Europe, and the United States. While its main spread is amongst gay and bisexual men, health officials stressed that anyone could be infected. Vaccination efforts quickly helped contain the spread. Number 6. The effects of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on the Caribbean. On February 24th, the world stood in literal dismay when Russia sent troops to invade Ukraine, justifying the attack with claims that Ukraine was threatening Russia in the first place. While it was expected to last a few days, the opponents were underestimated, and the conflict is still ongoing today. The impact on the entire planet has been immense, and it has of course reached our exotic shores. The war has caused one of the worst inflation crises in the past 50 years, affecting the costs of primary goods, gas, petroleum, and ultimately transportation and travels. This is still limiting the number of tourists traveling to our countries, most of which very much rely on tourism for their economic independence. In this video, we highlighted how the Ukrainian war profoundly affected the Caribbean. Number 5. Extreme weather. 2022 has seen some extreme weather and a terrible climate crisis. While September is known as the peak of the hurricane season in these areas, a pair of hurricanes wreaked major havoc in Florida, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. Ian, Fiona, and Nicola caused major widespread floodings and power outages, and they had an impact on the tourism and cruise industry too, with numerous delays and cancellations. Category 4 Atlantic Hurricane Ian, in particular, became the deadliest hurricane in the last 80 years to hit southwest Florida after affecting Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, the ABC Islands, and Jamaica. Number 4. Sports Glories. In 2022, fans were able to witness many records broken, veteran athletes continuing their successful careers, and new athletes making names for themselves. Trinidad and Tobago won 2 back-to-back gold medals in sprinting and javelin throw. In the same year, Jamaica's women athletes released impressive performances at the World Athletic Championship on July 17, 2022, which saw a Jamaican clean sweep in the women's 100 meters. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce won the gold medal, Sharika Jackson won the silver medal, and Elaine Thompson-Herah won the bronze in the women's 100 meters event. In the meantime, the historic first edition of the Caribbean Games took place in Guadeloupe from June 29 to July 3, 2022. Check out this video on our sports channel on the top 10 best performances by Caribbean athletes of the year in track and field in 2022. Number 3. Food insecurity on the rise. The 5th installment of a regional survey conducted by CARICOM and the United Nations World Food Programme in partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) and the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency (CDEMA) released some concerning findings pertaining to food insecurity in the Caribbean region. As a result of more than 2 years' worth of global crises, causing a surge in the costs of living and basic needs, a 46% increase in moderate to severe food insecurity has been registered in the first half of 2022. This has a lot to do with the impact of COVID-19 and is exacerbated by the Ukraine conflict and the global recession and inflation crises. To add extra concern to this situation, over 54% of the respondents to this survey reported digging into savings or allocating funds from health and education to food as the only possible immediate coping strategy. Number 2. Bitter independence. In 2022, both Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago celebrated their 60 years of independence. The visits in March 2022 of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge sparked numerous protests and calls for the British monarchy to issue a formal apology and slavery reparation. Later on, the Earl of Wessex, Prince Edward and his wife Sophie, Countess of Wessex, were confronted by protesters calling for slave trade reparations during their trip to St. Vincent and the Grenadines in April. This year, 2023, the Bahamas will celebrate its 50th year of independence, while St. Kitts and Nevis will celebrate a milestone of 40 years. Join us here at J-irie Caribbean later in the year as we celebrate these Caribbean nations' achievements together. Before we get to number 1, if this presentation is of some value to you, we would greatly appreciate it if you would give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for our next video. Thank you. Number 1. The death of Queen Elizabeth II. The entire world stopped on September 8, 2022, when 96-year-old Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history, died after 70 years on the throne. Her death, although unsurprising due to her age and a few alarming signs noticed in the days preceding her demise, sent shockwaves around the globe. The Caribbean countries, still so deeply intertwined with the British monarchy, were deeply impacted and saddened by the gloomy news, but also expressed their desire to move on and away from the monarchy. The rise of King Charles III was not welcomed with many positive reactions in our region. Check out this video and see how the Caribbean says goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II as Caribbean leaders pay tributes. We are all curious now to see what 2023 has in store, and the whole Caribbean community is looking forward to a year of innovations, strengthening, and improvements. With the hope that the pandemic is mostly behind us and that violence and wars will diminish, let's approach the new year with a totally positive mindset. What stories of 2022 deeply affected the Caribbean that we miss? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share our channel, and turn on the notification bell for our next video. This is J-irie Caribbean. Thanks for watching.